Here it is explained about the problem of modern psychology. Yeah, the problem of modern psychology, because psychology is also used to know about mind and how to deal, but for modern psychology there is much problem with the modern psychology. He is explaining that. Though the psychologists have an amazing knowledge of man, they fail because they do not consider man as a whole, as body and soul. This is the first problem. So when you study psychology, then you forget that it is a totality of soul and body. That is why they fail. What is the real man in us? Soul is the real man. The soul, the real man, is not known. In the modern psychology, there is no mention about soul. Only mind, emotion, all these things. But when you do not consider about the soul, then it is as good as studying about a dead body. If you want to study a human being without soul, studying soul without knowing soul, that means it is like a corpse. They deal only with the form aspect. That is why they cannot bring any solution. Yes. Only what they can see perceive with the eye. That is the only. Beyond this, they cannot. That is why they have no mention and no explanation about soul, which is without soul. If you take only the body, it's of no use. Because body is only expression of the soul. Body, what we call the structure or form, is only the resultant of what is happening on the final level of the working of energies. So as I told you other day, it is like a tent. If you do not know anything about the ropes, about the engineering, about the structure and all this, if you see the tent only, if you think that tent is the ultimate, it is not ultimate, because it is only a shape kept like that because of these forces of energy. So without knowing this, if you only speak of structure, then you can know. That is what he says. The soul, the real man, is not known by the psychology. Not recognized and not explained or not dealt with in any way. And man's origin and his goal also remain largely unconsidered in modern psychology. Man's origin and the goal remains unconsidered. So therefore the study of modern psychology, okay, you can study this, no problem, but it cannot give a real explanation to the real existence and cannot give you a solution. As regards recognizing the fact of the soul, psychologists suffer from inhibition. Psychologists suffer from inhibition because about soul they have no idea. Their problem is to comprehend that the self and the soul are one and the same. What you call self is soul. This they cannot understand. And in modern psychology, there is no understanding of the supra-conscious level. They only explain about you conscious and subconscious. But what about supra-conscious? Yeah. All the higher functions, all the higher things are supra-conscious, not subconscious.
The efforts of the tendency to concentrate on the disturbances,
Yeah.
and not on the quality.
Not on the qualities. That is the problem. Their problem is to comprehend that the self and the soul are one and the same. Unless this key idea is interjected into the whole field of psychological thought, it will fail of its own weight. So that is the failure of modern psychology, is because of this. The soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause of man's temperament and varied reactions. This is very important. This you have to remember very clearly. Soul's effect. Upon the personality of the soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause. Of man's temperament. Of man's temperament and varied reactions. So this we have to remember. The soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause of man's temperament and varied reactions. This is not known to the modern psychology. That is the problem. There is a spiritual psychology, undistinguished from mental and emotional psychology. When these two knowledges are brought intelligently together, we shall evolve a true, more accurate psychology. So the modern psychology needs to be merged or to be taken connected to the spiritual psychology. Without spiritual psychology, the modern psychology is of no use.
The people must get it.
Yeah, yes.
As long as people know if this is nonsense.
Yes. The close study by the psychologists of the abnormal and the subnormal, the conscious and the subconscious has been overemphasized. And due attention has not been given to the supernormal and superconscious states. That is what I was telling. Always, in normal psychology, they give emphasis on subconscious. And conscious states. So they explain about normal, abnormal, and subnormal. So whatever is, suppose when you receive a higher experience, when you get a higher experience when you receive, then if you ask a psychologist, then he say it is subnormal experience. It is not subnormal. It is a subconscious experience. It is not subconscious experience. It is supraconscious. This supraconscious is not known to the modern psychology. Their work has to be accounted for and explained, but for such people, the psychologist has no adequate explanation. What happens on the supraconscious, the normal psychology has no idea, so they cannot explain this phenomenon. The expression of the soul in some creative activity gives the clue to the understanding of the problem and question of genius. So, a real solution for the problem can be possible only when you take it from because it is the expression from the soul. Our life is the expression of the soul. Unless you understand this, how can you get a solution? Through the study of genius and the study of telepathy, prevision and other powers in man, psychology will eventually arrive at a recognition of the soul. So, these inherent powers, they can be understood and made proper use of only when you study spiritual psychology. That is what is. Without that, the psychology is only very incomplete and is of no use. What are the roots of human psychology? What are the roots? The roots of human psychology lie hidden in the fact that man is a soul occupying an animal body. What is man? Man is a soul.
This is correct because very often the people think they have a soul.
Yeah. If you say, I have a body, it is right. If you say, I have senses, it is right. If you say, I have mind, it is right. If you say, I have intelligence, it is right. If you say, I have a soul, it is wrong. I am this soul, not I have. That is where the normal psychology cannot discriminate. Our real existence is as soul, every one of us. So you should not say, I have a soul, wrong. I am the soul. This is the key for that. So, Soul, the roots of human psychology lie hidden in the fact that man is a soul. Man is a soul occupying animal body, a union of spiritual and physical life. So spiritual and physical life are together arranged in the form of a human being. He is essentially a spiritual entity. This we have to remember. The human being is essentially a spiritual entity. So it is not just the structure or the form. Form is the outermost of our real existence. Spiritual entity different in nature and objectives from the body which he temporarily occupies. So our existence in the form is temporary. This we have to remember. This is not permanent. Our permanent existence is as soul. Soul is our real existence. Body is only temporary. For example, just like how every day we wear a dress, I wear a shirt, and after wearing the shirt, if I say, I means I am this shirt, you are not the shirt. Shirt is only temporary. You wear for some time and change it. You may wear 1 or 2 days and then change it and take another shirt. Suppose your shirt is torn. No fool will continue to wear even the torn away shirt, only except few fellows in the modern dressing where you have all the torn pieces and all these things wearing. The very freak things in fashion and all these things. Specially made holes and torn things is for fashion. And I don't understand what this fashion is. But when a cloth is torn, you leave and you take a cloth that is full. So the body is also like this shirt, but only conscious. So if you think you are the body, that means you are thinking that you are your shirt, you are your shoe. You are wearing a shoe. And if you get identified with the shoe, I am my shoe. Shoe is worn by you, the shoe is not yourself. So also body. Body is not yourself. Body is temporary. The clothes we change in a few days, and the body we change in few years. That's the only thing. There is nothing to be afraid of it. If somebody wants not to leave the body, it is as if somebody who does not want to take away the clothes which are dirty or torn. If your body is withered away, still you want to live in the same body even though it is with disease, withered and all these things. That means attachment to the form aspect, identifying. When you get identified with the form, so it is this fact that is the cause of man's special problems. His consciousness fluctuates between these opposites, soul and body, because that is the finest level of consciousness. This is the grossest level of consciousness. So always there's in between these two, his consciousness fluctuates between these opposites, and he becomes a battleground, a battlefield. A battlefield. It is the welfare between these two great antagonistic forces which had led to all the neuroses and complexes. Because of lack of understanding of the relationship of these two opposite ends, soul and the body. These are the two opposite ends of the same entity, the same person. But since this relationship is not understood in a synthetic manner, therefore the whole life is like a battlefield. For a person who is not informed of this relationship of soul and body, for such a person life is always field of problems and battlefield. So the problem lies in his ignorance about this relationship. The tragedy, the problem and the glory of man is that he recognizes his relationship to both soul and body. It is this which makes of mankind a prodigal son, violently turned between desire and worldly life, for the worldly life, for possessions and experience, and the inherent urge to reach out after divinity, because there is always the struggle is between these two aspects. We want to experience happiness, but how? Everybody essentially want to be happy, but how? Because you want to have all these physical things to hold in the worldly things. You can make use of it, but at the same time you should not get identified with this. That is the problem. Body is given to us as a wonderful instrument to make use of this. Suppose if you have given me a tablet, a computer, a small computer, ordinator. So you have given me this. So it is good, we can make use of this. For example, I got a tablet and I have all the materia medica and all these things, all the books of master, all the books of. So whenever I want to read, I can read. That is a good advantage, because you cannot carry all the books with you all the time. That is not possible. That is not practical. So you have all the books. But with the same thing, you can make a fool of you by sitting before this with all nonsensical things, fantasies and all these things with the internet. You should not get enslaved with these things. They should be under your control. You can make use of it. But if you become slave, if you feel that you cannot, suppose one day there is no internet. Oh, there is no internet. You will not die due to this. Before the internet came, we were living. The internet is there. Inside, there is a wonderful network inside. This network is not superior to this network. We should not become slaves of that. If mobile is not there, oh, mobile is not there, what happens? You are mobile. You are able to move. Yeah. I don't feel that. Now we are in the classes. I switch on my mobile only when there is in between and see if I have to help somebody. That's all. Otherwise, I switch it off. What happens? Oh, what happens if your mobile is switched off? Nothing happens. If somebody calls to you, it is switched off. He says, okay, he is switched off. Let us do our work. Nobody will wait for us. It is too much for us to think that we should keep all these things in. No, they are for us. We have to remember that these are for us. We are not for them. Similarly, our body also. Same thing with the body also, with all our faculties with the body.
And the money system.
And the money system. Money for the humans. Exactly opposite.
Therefore, we are slaves for the money.
We are manipulated. We are manipulated by money, we are manipulated by all these instruments because of this crazy idea that, because we are controlled by them, you see.
And they have the modern equipment.
Yes, equipment. If somebody thinks, if I have no bike, I cannot go out of my home, it's foolish. You can walk, you have your own instrument, you can walk. You can make use of a bike if it is available. If there is no bike also, I cannot go out because I have no bike. As if he has no legs. You have your legs. And so like this, dependency on other external agencies. See how we make hell of our life. The tragedy, the problem and the problem, the glory of man is that he recognizes the relationship to both soul and body. It is this which makes of mankind prodigal son, violently turn between desire for the worldly life. We can use these things as a need when there is needed. So need, you can attend to the need, but not to the desire. Suppose I want to protect my feet, so you can have some socks or some shoe. But if I say, I want to have a shoe made of gold, nonsense. Even normal shoe also can protect your feet. Why should you think I should have a shoe made with gold? What will you do? If you are hungry, you have fruits or some food. I want some food made of gold. Can you eat gold? If you eat gold, then you will die. When you are hungry, Master used to always give an example. Somebody, because what we generally do is, we cannot distinguish between useful things and valuable things and costly things. Suppose there is a heap of gold in a room, and you are locked in this room for one full day without food and drink. Imagine, if you are hungry, what can you do with these pieces of gold? Gold is very, very costly, it's very valuable. It's not valuable. When you are thirsty, what can you do with the gold? A glass of water is more valuable than the biscuits of gold. If you have ornaments of gold, but when there is no water to drink, what can you do? You will die. So what is valuable and what is expensive? Expensive is not valuable. It is not the expense, it is not in terms of money, it is its utility. This we have to remember. So, it is this which makes of mankind. So, it is for violently between desire for the worldly life, for possessions and experience, and the inherent urge to reach out after divinity, to return to that home from which he came. So, there is always an internally, for every being, especially for the human being, there is really a desire for liberation, for freedom. But you don't know what real freedom is. In the name of freedom, you are getting more and more buried deep into these worldly things. It is not freedom. You see? In the name of freedom, if you get away from home in search of so many things, searching and searching the whole life, finding nothing, the fulfillment of these dual desires is the ABC of true psychology. So the persistent fight between man's spiritual aspirants